Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. In this video, I thought I would talk about something that is really important, which is how to get services for our children. Therapy, ABA therapy, speech therapy, occupational therapy. I know it's pretty hard in many states, including my own. So I thought I would sit down and talk about pretty much how we went about getting services, what we had to do and how long it took and all that good stuff. So we'll do another sit down video and get well, hopefully this information will help someone out there. I know that it differs state to state, but I mean it should be somewhat similar all around. So let's go ahead and get started. And if you hear noise in the background, it's Christian and Haiti. They're home from school. I tried to film this earlier, but I don't know where my day went. It was busy. Hi. What? What? You want to play with my necklace? Is it calling your name? Yeah. Christian's here next to me. So what? Oh, no climbing, Christian. Christian, get down. Thank you. So first things first, I know that it may be a little hard to think about getting that official diagnosis. I know that some of us may have our thoughts on our kids maybe being a little different, or maybe we do realize that it's autism, but we just don't want to get the official diagnosis because then it becomes real. I understand that, but we do need to get that diagnosis in order for us to help our kids. Without that diagnosis, we can't get any therapy for them. So just remember that it is just a diagnosis. It's just a paper saying that he has autism, him or her. It doesn't change anything about your child. Whatever, if they have autism, they've had it. It doesn't mean anything besides getting that help for them. So I know it's hard, and I know once I got it, it was hard. I understand that, but we have to be strong and understand that this is just going to help our kids get more help to get better. Better as in learning how to deal with life situations and learning how to control emotions and behaviors and things like that. So I'll go ahead and talk about how we started. So with Christian, I mentioned some of these things in our autism story. I'll link that video if you guys haven't seen it, but I wanted to go into more detail. So I guess we can start pretty much going back to when we spoke to his pediatrician. It all starts with the pediatrician, I want to say. As soon as she gave us the referral to early intervention, which at that point I didn't know that there was many early intervention companies out there. I thought that was like the only one, but I went with the one that she told us about, the one that she gave us a referral to. It took maybe like a month to get an appointment with them. Once we got the appointment, they did the evaluation, their own evaluation, to see what they thought he needed, and they saw that he needed some speech and some what they call ABA therapy, but it's not really ABA therapy. It's more somebody coming out once a week, no, like maybe twice a month, and showing you what you should be doing. At that point, it was Christian needed to be pointing. Christian needed to look us in the eyes. It was very little things, but things he wasn't doing. So they would just come over and kind of make sure that we were doing what we needed to do, and that he was doing those things, pointing and looking. So we did have to wait over 6 months for us to get that evaluation. When he was almost 2.5, when he was about 2.5, he went to his autism evaluation with the doctor. He was a UNLV doctor here in Nevada. He's one of the only ones that does diagnosis for autistic kids here in Nevada. It was a really basic evaluation. Pretty much he just asked, he wanted to, I don't know, they're also similar, like how he played with toys. He just observed him, how he responded to his name, if something fell, if he was interested in it, if he would like acknowledge that it fell. He wouldn't. He would it would be like it didn't exist anymore. So it's just really basic things. And as soon as he got done with the evaluation, probably like 10 minutes after he got done, they came in and told us that he was it was a diagnosis for autism spectrum disorder. And it was really like sterile, like I don't know, it just seemed very like, okay, so he has autism, here's what we're gonna do now. You can look into these things, this therapy, this therapy, this therapy. You should look into this insurance. You should check what your insurance provider pays for. You could look into this Nevada state funds that you can get assistance with therapy for, and all these other things. And it's kind of like you don't even get a chance to process that your son was diagnosed on the spectrum. It's just like they give you all this information and like boom, you have to get going. I think that's why it took me a few months to really realize that I felt really sad and like I was scared and all these emotions when I just like broke down crying months later, because at that moment you're just like, okay, what's the next step? Let's go. Well, at least for me, I just felt like I needed to get the help he needed because I wanted to do the best for him. So it didn't give me a chance to process. I just wanted to get as much information as I could. So once we got the diagnosis, we I believe that's when we started setting up the school stuff. We continued with the early intervention because he still was in 3. And I looked into ATAP, which is a state-based assistance program for autism families. So we just submitted all our information, and they're like a blessing. Like if anybody is in Las Vegas, definitely look into ATAP, and I'll leave information if I can on the description box. But I'm sure every state has something similar. It's a state-funded program that assists families with families affected with autism. So they will help you pay for therapies. There's a certain cap, so like if depending on how much income you make, you can get up to $6,000, which is what we get. Or you can get less depending on your income. So it's definitely a blessing. Therapy is so expensive that I wouldn't be able to do it without it. Like it's ridiculous the amount that you pay for therapies. So they have a list of providers, which helped me. They have a list of providers that are approved under their funding for ABA therapy, for speech, for OT, different things like that. For myself, we only have it for ABA therapy, so that list itself helped me decide which ABA company I was gonna go with. So with the list, what I did was I looked into every company. So it was probably like 15 companies that were approved through ATAP. I called every company. I asked them if they were, just to confirm, I asked if they accepted ATAP. I also asked if they accepted my private insurance company, because even though ATAP is assisting, the main thing that is helping me is my private insurance for Christian. We're very lucky. We have really good coverage for ABA therapy, and once we meet our deductible, they pay 80%, we pay 20%. I could make another video on insurances. It's very tricky, but pretty much what I did is I made sure that the provider list accepted ATAP and my private insurance. And once they said they did, I would go through the website. I would look through reviews if I could find any, which is hard to find. I would just try to get a feeling of how they answered their phone, how they interacted with customer service, what information they could give me, and I would narrow it down based off like the feelings that I got from them. And it was kind of hard because most of these companies, they have a waiting list of like 6 months to a year, especially if you're looking for services in the afternoon, which I wasn't, because he hadn't even started school. I didn't know what was benefiting him, what would benefit him more, school or therapies, or if it made a difference. I just wanted to get as much therapy as I could for him. So at that time, I was saying that he was available for any time, which was true. And even then, like all these companies were saying they had a waiting list. We got really lucky though, because one of the ABA companies that was on the ATAP list was actually the therapist that was coming in for early intervention. She has her own company and she does early intervention on the side as well, but she mentioned that she would love to continue working with Christian, and that she did have a waiting list, but she would be willing to kind of bump him up a little bit so he could start services really soon. And I really liked her because she was bilingual, and I felt like Christian understood, you know, English and Spanish, and just her vibe, I really felt comfortable with her, so I went ahead and decided to go with her. So we got really lucky, and he started therapy as soon as he turned 3 pretty much. I had to quit my job because I wanted to make sure that he was getting all the therapy he can get. At that time, he was getting 3 hours in the morning, and then he was going to school, which was a big change for him because he was getting only like twice a month therapy before he turned 3, and after he turned 3 it was like school and therapy. And he did really well in school, and he did okay in therapy. No, he did really good in therapy. I mean, obviously it was hard for him to adjust, and he needed to get comfortable with his therapist, and it was actually not the person that I thought it would be, but it turned out to be a really good therapist. She was probably one of the best ones we've had before, since. She's one of the best ones, but she had to move back to her home state, so that sucked. But yeah, and then it's crazy because they tell you that you need so much therapy. Like I believe the number's like 40 hours a week. It's like you have a job. Like your 3-year-old is gonna have to go do a job. It's a job for him that he hates it. He doesn't want to do work. He just wants to be having fun. So, but as a parent, you just feel like you need to do as much therapy as you can, especially in the early ages, because they can absorb more information and, you know, all these things that we assume. So probably like 2 months after he started ABA therapy, I upped it to 2 hours in the morning and then going to school, and then 2 hours in the afternoon. And it was a lot. I mean, he was doing okay, but it got to the point where it was just so much. And even then, it's not even 40 hours. So I seriously don't know how that would work. I mean, if your kid does 40 hours, like, how does that work for you guys? I would love to know. It just seems like such a high number, and I tried to do as much as I could for him in the beginning with like therapies, but it is a lot for them. They do need their own space and their own time to have fun and be a kid. So I just don't know how that works. But yeah, so he did that for a little while, and then I stopped it because he needed speech. I knew he needed speech. That wasn't covered through ATAP, but it was covered through my private insurance. So I set that up, and that was going well. The thing about therapies is it's a slow progress. It's a very slow progress. So when I started speech, I just assumed, okay, this is gonna be it. This is gonna be amazing. He's gonna start talking, but it's not like that. It's not just like he has a few therapy sessions and then they're gonna teach him how to talk. It's a slow progress. Even today, when he went to speech, he had kind of like the main speech pathologist go in there and see what we're doing with his speech therapist. And it's like we all see that he's not progressing. It's been like 6 months with this new speech therapist, which is amazing, but he still has the same problems with it, which is lack of motivation, lack of focus, lack of wanting to do these things. So she said we're gonna try to do like floor time therapy, which is I don't really know what the real definition, but it's pretty much trying to get him to engage with us and have fun and focus on an object. So like they were doing bubbles, and they wouldn't blow the bubble out until they had his full focus, attention, and like looking at the bubbles. And then once they blew them, they would try to make him have a lot of fun. They pretty much want to make therapy fun for him so that he wants to engage and focus and interact. But yeah, it's a long process, and it's hard when you don't get the results that you want instantly. But definitely, I feel like therapy is worth it, and it is hard to start therapy. I believe in any state. I mean, it sucks because it's such a high demand. I mean, how many kids are on the spectrum nowadays? How many kids are being diagnosed on the spectrum? And it's something that it's growing, but the demand is too high. So that's why there's like 6 months to a year wait list. And I, for example, have had so many different RBTs because they either get burnt out easily because it's a job that is very hard. I mean, you're dealing with sometimes very stressful situations, behaviors from kids, violence. Sometimes some kids bite, some kids pull hair, some kids that are seeking attention will do, stressful things. So they easily burn out and need some time without working to kind of like recoup and get that energy and want to help back into them, I guess. I don't know how to say this. And then other times it's like the RBT, obviously other companies are looking for RBTs and they offer a lot of money, so they leave that company to go to another one. And it's always like different RBTs coming in and out, so that's hard as well. But definitely do your research. If you look into different companies, wait time is always critical, and I'm sure that's why some of us will go to this company versus another one. So just make sure as soon as you get a diagnosis to just like start looking at that provider list, or start looking at what your state has to offer with regarding helping out for therapies and funds and things like that, because you definitely need to get the ball rolling with this super quick, because there is a wait time for most therapies. Every state, I believe, has like their own organization that will help guide you in the right direction. For us, it's called FEAT. FEAT stands for Families for Effective Autism Treatment. So it's a nonprofit organization here in Las Vegas, and they pretty much, you give them a call or you go to their events, and they have, for example, in events, they have booths set up with like ABA therapists, speech therapist, pediatrician. So if you call them, they could give you all the information, all the resources for our state and what help we can get. So that's amazing, and I'm sure a lot of states have their own nonprofit organization. So definitely start off there once you get that diagnosis. And also early intervention. If you have any, even if it's just like a delay, in any kind, speech delay, behavioral delay, motor delay, whatever kind of delay, it really doesn't hurt to talk to your pediatrician. Our pediatrician actually brought it up to us that there was a delay, and that just listen. Just don't think it's gonna go away, or even if it does, like, it doesn't hurt to get early intervention, early help for anything, because even if my son didn't have autism, if it was just a delay, it doesn't hurt to get help, just to make it better for your son or daughter, because they don't give you a diagnosis, you know, it's just getting help for that delay. So definitely early intervention is a big help. They helped me big time with like getting that diagnosis, setting up the appointment with the doctor, getting the school, the IEP started. Everything was them. I didn't even have to worry about anything. So my biggest tip is just like talk to your doctor if it is a suspicion that there is any kind of delay. Do early intervention, because it doesn't hurt at all. It only helps. And once you get a diagnosis, just get the ball rolling with therapies, because it does take a long time. Look into your nonprofit organization to get resources and help and information, because they do have a lot of information that, of course, you've never looked into therapies and you've never looked for help. So they have everything that you need to know to get that help for your son or daughter. And don't be scared to go into Facebook groups for autism, going into YouTube, obviously, to get information on how families deal with it. It always helped me looking online to see YouTube videos of people on the spectrum. In the beginning, I only saw negativity, but now there's a bunch of families that are on YouTube that deal with autism, and it's great to see positive autism, pretty much, because there obviously is a negative side to autism, but there's most of the time it's just positive. It's just a different way of living. It's not less. It's sad when you think about the life you could have had, but it's not, because you just have to let go of that image that you had and just understand that this new life is still awesome and it's still gonna be great. And there's obviously obstacles in every life, but it doesn't mean that it's gonna be horrible. You just have to make the most out of what you get in life. So oh my god, I hope this video isn't just rambles. I hope that we could edit it into something that makes sense. But yeah, just make sure you get that diagnosis. That diagnosis is key for all therapies, and starting early on therapies is very important. It's hard to see how much of a growth your child does, because you're with your kid daily. But if you write down, like, one of the biggest things that I want to start doing, and I wish I did, is writing down everything. Writing down like daily, like what he did, maybe that new stim, that new behavior, when that stopped, so that you can look back and see, like, okay, this is helping. Like, my son wouldn't look at me in the eyes, and now he does. My son wouldn't make any sounds, and now he does. My son knows how to sit down calmly now. He interacts with his peers. Like, just all these little details that you take for granted, those are growths, and it is because of school and therapies, and, like, you know, us being consistent with asking for pecs and just following through. Just make sure that therapy is only going to be in your home for 2 to 3 hours or however long, but it's up to you to make sure you continue the the instructions that they are giving you, that you continue doing what they're doing in those few hours that they are with your kid, because you have to make, if you don't follow through, they're just going to realize that it's only needed when that person is there, and once they're gone, mom and dad are going to not make you go to the restroom, or they're not going to make you look at them in the eyes and things like that. So just make sure you're following through. But yeah, definitely look into resources that you have in your state, and just, I think I've said it so many times, just follow your gut and make sure that if you're having suspicions, talk to your pediatrician, and always go for early intervention. It never hurts to get help early on, even if it's not a autism diagnosis, even if it's just a delay. It's always best to just get any help you can. So I hope this video helps. I know I'm all over the place. I hope this video helps, and thank you so much for watching. And if there's anything you guys want to talk about, please let me know down below. And I hope you guys have a great day, and I'm gonna go outside because my kids are waiting for me for the pool. Have a good one. Bye.